You all are really serious. When the young people were being asked, or the older people actually, were being asked what's their phone number, I thought, if I'm sitting there, I'm not telling you all my husband's phone number. So I will say the wrong thing. You won't know whether I know it or not. But see, you all are really serious. You're not impressed with me that I won't tell you his phone number. There you are. Anyway, I really enjoyed the question and answer session, especially for the older people, and I enjoyed the dance too. There you go. Because of time, and we want to address some of the questions that we've got, I just want to just talk around some subjects. In James chapter 4 and verse 1, which I was at and it's disappeared, it says, "What is causing the quarrels and fights among you? Don't they come from the evil desires at war within you? You want what you don't have, so you scheme and kill to get it. You are jealous of what others have, but you can't get it, so you fight and wage war to take it away from them. Yet you don't have what you want because you don't ask God for it. And even when you ask, you don't get it because your motives are all wrong. You want only what will give you pleasure." So there was a while ago, we were hearing quite a lot about Christian marriages that were breaking down after 20 or so years. And I was praying about it. And this scripture God brought to my mind. And I thought about it, and I thought that I would listen to people and listen to myself and listen to married people and even those that were going through breakdowns. I would listen to them, and then I would start seeing whether this scripture was true. I would measure anything I said, any difficulty I had with my husband against whether this was my issue or his issue. So, for example, we know that money is one of the big issues that could arise in marriage. In fact, let's be honest, money is a big issue that arises in marriage. And I just want to say, I'm going to be really brief. The management of money, a lady said once that money is not for spending, it's for managing first. So we get married, maybe our culture, depending on the culture you're in, says that the man manages the money in the home. I don't know that the scriptures are very clear on who manages the money in the home, but if you have someone who is good at managing the money, that's where it should start from. And you should manage the money before spending it. You should have discussions about money before getting married. You should have discussions about what you are going to do, what your systems are, so that when somebody says, I'm going to do this with money, or I'm going to do that with money, and some adverse reaction comes up in you, you first check yourself. Is that reaction because this person has said this, or my response to them? Am I waging war because of my background? My mother used to handle the money, now he wants to handle the money. This is not right. Let's check where our responses are and reactions are coming from. But let's remember, I think we've talked about it briefly with my husband, you have to have a plan, and there's no reason not to plan where money is concerned. The other thing that is a big one, is a huge one, and it's been muted many times, is communication. And again, I remember years ago, very many years ago, we all have our different characters, right? And mine, I discovered along the line was, if something was too much for me, if something came at me too much or words came at me, I would clam up. And I remember going to my pastor and him saying, Margaret, you need to learn to talk beyond the pain. We all need to learn to talk beyond the pain. We need to keep talking with ourselves, with one another, even though the conversation is painful, even though it's not your nature to talk a lot. We need to talk beyond the pain, because beyond the pain, and I used to have pain talking. My husband probably didn't have pain like that, but it was about me. It was about my upbringing, and then I would clam up, and then I would blame somebody else apart from myself. And I think I said somewhere earlier in our talking that if you get in front of a mirror, and marriage is like a mirror, and you look at this mirror, and the mirror tells you that, there's a bulge here, and there's a bulge there, and there's a whatever here, there's this here. you don't blame the mirror. You look at yourself and you see what you can change. We don't need to fight and we don't need to war. We need to talk, and we need to talk beyond the pain. There's something in that area as well that I want to say. We need to, even before you get married, and this is to the singles, you need to marry someone you can talk to. If the person you're marrying is Oga or Madam, don't marry them. If they're Oga or Madam to you, don't marry them. You need to be able to communicate and converse as friends and equals. The other thing that I'd like to talk about, which causes fightings and wars amongst us, is the big sex, sex. So, maybe not in your church, but I know that generally, young people are told to avoid sex before marriage, flee from sexual immorality, stay away from sex. Don't do or go anywhere that will cause you to fall into sexual sin. But then you get married, and everybody tells you, you gotta have sex, you gotta have good sex, okay? But if you don't know how to have sex and what good sex is, what do? Again, I have to say that it is maybe not so much for you, but you need to look for material. You need to look for older people, and you need to understand something about sex. I talk about this, and I don't think that young people, before they get married, talk about, well, maybe you do now, but it was perhaps one of those things, because you are brought up in the church. My daughter says, we're brought up in the church. You tell us, don't date, don't do this, and don't do that. At 25, you tell us, when are you getting married? I don't know how to date. I don't know how to do any of these you've told me not to do. So we need to be looking, we need to be talking about sex. We need to be having understanding of sex. And okay, there are two thoughts I'm thinking of here. Okay, I have to say it as I feel it. Now, if you marry a good girl or a good guy, you can't expect from that good girl or that good guy what you've seen on TV or what you've seen somewhere else. It's not as if they don't have the potential, but you can't on day one think, I married you and you don't know anything. Of course they don't know anything, and of course you don't know anything. So one of the things I'd like to say to the young people now is, maybe it's a bit difficult to refrain from sexual immorality, although it is a biblical injunction. Refrain from it, because you will have 30, 40, 50 years to have sex. You will have opportunity to have sex as many times a day. So give yourself a break and wait till the time comes. And if you both have not taken part in sexual activity, then you both learn together. You both communicate, talk about it together. You both go to people who know more about sex. You both go and read. Let's not be shy about sex, because it is something that we must face. It's something that's good in marriage, but it's something that causes a lot of problems in marriage. The one other thing I wanted to say is, if you have had sexual relationships outside marriage, or before marriage, it's very unfair for you to, it's very unfair for you to expect your partner to be a certain way. But if you also have a basis of comparison. You need to go to the Lord so that he can deal with that for you, so that you all start together. I just wanted to touch those few points, and I will say again to us that it says in James, they come from the evil desires that war within us. You all might think that again, it might not be the right thing for a place like this, but check yourselves. We all need to check ourselves. Why do I respond how I respond to other people? Is it because of the person or because of me? If I deal with what's going on in me, then I may be able to respond out of the fruit of my spirit: love, joy, peace, rather than responding in anger. One of the young people here said that she wouldn't want to marry an angry man. Why should there be a man on his own standing there all angry? Well, because he has issues and they're not dealt with. And indeed, if she marries that angry man, she'll have to face that anger. So for now, I'm going to stop there, and I invite my husband back so that we can take some questions. You're invited back.
Thank you. Okay, here we are then. We're back. Please feel free to keep eating. And don't choke on anything when you hear some of this.